to a threshold of 50% or even below, as our development partners in the IBRD do advise. Get down. Now let's go to the other economic sectors. Agriculture employing more than 70% of our population. Let's move. The situation in agriculture, as we know it, is stamped growth, stagnated. It's not contributing to GDP they could have desired because of its nature and structure. Smallholder farmers are hand to mouth. There's no risk taking because it's not business, it's hand to mouth. And of course, overutilization of emerging resources, dependence on nature, in other words. What are our priorities? Increase access to affordable agricultural credit, curb the effects of climate change through irrigation. Somebody talked about the PDM, which died a stillbirth. If you read our big book, we intend to scrap it immediately. It's nonsense. Scrap it, take that money into irrigation, and support farmers throughout there. If you went to Masaka, for example, and made an interaction with the farmers, they'll actually tell you their problem. They'll tell you, give us water. In another area, they'll tell you, give us the roads. So the PDM is one size fits all. Okay? Doesn't matter. Like the famous UPDF uniforms that were very small, like children uniforms. So the PDM, stillbirth. So we said we would scrap it and repurpose that resource into irrigation. Increase access to farm inputs and disease control. Of course, in the component of inputs, in the document you will see one of our activities, one of our steps is what Dr. Bedwanika has already done. His bill, I think, is out for printing, the farming contract bill. It enumerates what we need to do in making sure that farmers access inputs of quality. There is duty to those who supply inputs. Just imagine a farmer going to a shop, buys seeds, they never germinate, and it ends that way. So we are moving, we have a bill in the offing, and we believe that by the end of this session of Parliament, the famous Dr. Bedwanika bill will see the light of day as part of our positive steps into that direction. The rest are mundane, and we know them. Move down a bit. And of course, in doing that, we have allocated that much. That is in trillion, not billion. But the computer man prefers to say 1,488 billion, which is 1.4 trillion. Move down. Education and sports. Low completion rates, that's the situation. Poor retention, we all know the dropouts. Low staff levels, low capitation grant. Are you aware that our capitation grant in primary education and secondary is the lowest in the region, with the regional laggards that far? And we are proud of the dropouts. Hey, just get a bit up. You saw last year how many children had enrolled in primary 1 and how many completed primary 7. Less than 40%. Over 60% dropped out. What happened? Low staffing levels. We have been investigating with the Minister of Education a number of schools around Kampala. A single class with 400 pupils and 3 teachers. My speaker for Kampala, you need to be interested. A school, a single class with 400 pupils and 3 teachers. And you have a Minister of Education and a Department of Planning in Education. So these are the issues we must deal with if you're going to really be serious and be relevant to our people. Proceed down. So what we intend to do is to restore the component of inspection. In our times, a school inspector was as good as a minister. What happened? So you pick vagabonds, drunkards, and regime supporters and make them inspectors to go and pick money from school head teachers. You pick a school dropout and make them a school inspector because they stole a vote for you at the polling station. So recruitment, training, repurposing, and enumeration for inspectorate. Then you'll be able to deal with the issues of dropouts, the issue of non-attendance to our pupils in school and students in school. Review secondary level curriculum. Today, the 31st of March 2023, the senior 3 students have not yet gotten first term curriculum material as I speak. Question is, are they going to extend the term? Are they going to make a refund to parents? Are they going to make the pupils study in the holiday or at home? They are not study materials. And you have a government and a government minister getting a salary. Of course, we have talked about teacher welfare. The teachers are the most abused civil servants. They are abused for being what they are. There's no educational system anywhere better than the quality of the teachers. You undermine teachers, you have killed education. Where do they get the belief that science teachers must be motivated at the expense of us teachers? I posed the question to one of the regime officials whether music is an art or a science. Is music an art? You see? Mr. President, is music an art or a science? It's both. Are you aware that, for example, the Pythagoras theorem came from music? Are you aware of that? Including the bulldozer in mathematics. The composers of the same are initially musicians. So, you are for science teacher, the art teachers should go and suffer, go and hang. Our policy is dual motivation. We shall motivate all the teachers. So now that you have increased the pay for science teachers in government schools, so what happens to science teachers in private schools? So where do the private schools get money to match government pay? So they should go and hang. Our approach is, because science teachers are rare and few, our government would second science teachers to private schools. Recruit all science teachers available, second them to private schools, because we have more private schools than government schools. Common sense. You don't have to have a PhD in common sense to know that private teachers will not afford the cost of, private schools will not afford the cost of science teachers at that rate. So we would repurpose resources to education, to recruit any mass available science teachers and second them to private schools. You can do that. It's done elsewhere. We're talking about the school feeding program. So we are proud to send thousands of our children to school to starve the whole day. So we raise RDCs, DSOs, and all manner of vagabonds to go and see whoever is demanding for some little money for food for children. Because you want to be populist. We would repurpose resources to make sure our children are fed at school. This country is not devoid of enough food. It's abused resources and an abused people. The Honorable Minister for sports, made a well-elaborate presentation on sports, the Honorable Kayemba, about our impressions on sports. Sports is not entertaining per se. Sports in our times is big-time business. How much money has been spent on sports infrastructure over the last 10 years? A big zero. So who would have resources devoted for sports in all regions because it's a big business? You are a country, 75% of young people, you do really encourage to go into sports as a business, as an investment, but they don't have sports facilities. In Kampala, school sports facilities were sold to thieves in Kampala. You know, so what do you do? Of course, as part of our recovery of government assets, we would recover all those assets. If you put there an arcade and we have a school, that arcade will become a playground in our government. Make no mistake. As part of recovering the country and stopping the nonsense that has been visited on this country for these years. Move down. So who would vote that much to make sure we repurpose that much to recover the education sector? Move down. Gender, labor and social development. The cause of our labor workforce is low productivity. Their rights are abused. They are less motivated. We have, do you know that in this country, graduate unemployment is at 85%? 85% graduate unemployment. That's for World Cup. Inadequate management, insufficient coverage of social protection. Move down. That's the situation analysis. Of course, we've been dealing with a huge problem of labor externalization. And because this market of labor externalization is now occupied by a mafia clique, we would re-regulate it to make sure, like other nations are doing, would restructure it, regulate it, and repurpose its functioning. The Minister for Youth talked about youth-friendly interventions in the communities. Our youth are sensitive. Our youth needs to be understood. Our youth needs to be redirected. Their efforts and their energy needs to be recultured. And that's why we need numerous youth centers to deal with their challenges because they are unique and refunction them into the objectives of development for our country. Of course, you need to have regional remand homes. Why are the children coming from Karamoja taken to Kampiringisa or any other place? Why not in an environment of their culture so that they can really grow as children? The arts industry is a huge industry. We need to revamp it. And that line, the Honorable Hilary Chiaga, Dr. Hilderman, is leading us in reviewing the law that relates to this industry. The copyright and neighboring rights law is under review, courtesy of his effort. We want to thank him. And part of the reason is to repurpose that law so that it can serve so many young people. So many people who are really talented that they can benefit from their talent. Move down, the rest time Yonden. The zero is supposed to be this side, 660 billion, not 66. You have to change that. You cannot do what I've said with 66 billion. It's 660 billion. Move down to the next sector. Health. Dr. Batua is a very, very imaginative Minister of Health. His sector is, as underlined, significantly underfunded. We have a resurgence of malaria in our communities.
When it comes to my number one, I choose world class. Aquafina enriched drinking water. Quality, purity, refreshment. I choose Aquafina.
Amazzi agettanirwa ensi yonna ate nga gali ku mutindo ogwa waggulu ennyo kyaddaaki gatuuse mu Uganda.
Aquafina, only what's essential.
Gasanga emaduuka gonna okwetooloola eggwanga ku nnusu lukumi zokka. Amazzi ga Aquafina gakolebwa kampuni ya Pepsi Cola International mu Uganda.
Muso promotion is back to Sako. Kabisi Kandagala Muzubairi family. Kabisi Kandagala. Look at Gabiru Munana Gokuna. Green College Muchitazi Kumabanda. Tuliwa Kudigida.